Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. I am trying a new streaming thing, so maybe I'll pick up, maybe it won't over on YouTube. But here, be happy with you guys. Longhorn Weekly, talking Texas football. Going to be breaking down just some last takeaways from the Arkansas win, but also looking forward to Kentucky. Texas is as many of you know, ranked number 2 in the most recent college football playoff rankings. Very controversial rankings. I mean, at this point, I don't know what's controversial about Texas and Texas A&M being the only two teams in the SEC with one loss. Texas obviously being ahead of A&M with one loss overall in the season and where they are in their standings as a overall unit. So to me, straightforward, but a lot of scuttlebutt around strength of schedule. We talked a lot about that last week. I'm not going to give a whole bunch of energy to that moving forward, especially considering the Tennessee loss to Georgia and what that means for Texas. I mean, the path, that's why I said Texas is in prime playoff position. The path is straightforward, right? You win, you go and beat Kentucky. You have senior day at home, last day for the seniors. Jahdae Barron, Jake Majors, a lot of great players who will probably be playing their last game at DKR. Potentially Quinn Ewers playing his last game at DKR. So we'll see. But then after that, you have November 30th, which is Texas Civil War. We know what time it is. Most likely an opportunity to play, especially considering what the scenario is that plays out between Texas A&M and Auburn this weekend, knowing that they have to go to Jordan-Hare. But it's going to come down to Texas handles their business the next 2 weeks. They're in Atlanta, most likely playing Georgia in the rematch. So, and regardless of who we play, Texas will be in Atlanta if they handle their business the next 2 weeks. It's as simple as that. And quite frankly, with all of the doubt and whatnot, I actually like the position that the Longhorns are in. This gives Steve Sarkisian an opportunity to really lock his guys in, right? Us against the world. There's some doubters here, right? Obviously, us making the 14 playoff last year was not enough. Was not enough to even have to for people to have the benefit of the doubt with you, right? Us being in a new conference and having the success that we've had in a new conference, that's not enough. So if I'm Steve Sarkisian, if I'm Kyle Flood, if I'm Pete Kwiatkowski, I'm using this as, any psychological edge I can get at this point. I mean, this is a grown-up football team. If you look at this Texas defense, they've stood on business every single game of the season. The way that they performed against a very good Arkansas offense, an Arkansas offense featuring a mobile quarterback in Taylor Green, who, had a chance to get healthy after 2 weeks. One of the best running backs in the conference, and Jaquindon Jackson, who hadn't played in over a month. He comes in and he looked, he was effective when he got in there. And some of the bigger receivers they have going downfield, Armstrong, Lucas Asa, tight end. Texas defended that stuff really well. They did a fantastic job holding the 10 points, the total yards, the keys that they had installed for Taylor Green and the run game. Bobby Petrino is a tough guy to prepare for. He's one of the better coordinators in our conference. And again, credit to Pete Kwiatkowski, Johnny Nansen, Coach Baker, Coach Terry Joseph, Blake Gideon. The defensive staff for Texas has been remarkable. They're developing players. Jahdae Barron, listen, Bleacher Report family, Jahdae Barron is your Thorpe Award winner this season. I don't want any nonsense, okay? And I'm a big Travis Hunter fan. But Jahdae Barron has been the best defensive back in college football this season. And when you look at as a 3-level defender, right, against the pass, against the run, as a blitzer, he does it all. Jahdae Barron, last game, interception, run support, blitz, sack, anything you want him to do, he does it. He plays multiple positions in our secondary. He is the film king. He's a leader for that for that group on and off the field. This is a guy who had an opportunity to go to the NFL last year and said, I'm not satisfied with my draft status. I'm not satisfied with where I'm looked to be. That's not good enough for me. And he said, you know what? I'm gonna take a chance and come back to school. I'm gonna wear that number 7. I'm gonna rock that number 7, that Michael Huff jersey, former Thorpe Award winner. And all he's done is come back, leading the SEC in interceptions, and just been a flat out monster, one of the highest graded players on defensive backs in the country. Jahdae Barron has upped his stock now to being a potential first or second rounder in the NFL draft, depending on, some of the measurables, if you will. But his versatility, his leadership, and the playmaking ability has been outstanding, and it's a reason why Texas is ranked the number 1 defense in the country this year. It starts with Jahdae Barron, number 7 on the Texas defense. So just want to give him his flowers again and the remarkable job he's done. It's no doubt in my mind he should be up for the Thorpe and win that award this season as the nation's top DB. Now, the questions that came out of the Arkansas game were about our special teams, which has now become a weekly thing here, and our offense, right? They finished the game strong, fourth quarter. Bleacher Report family, they came with it, down that stretch, physical running, got in the end zone. Quinn Ewers delivered when he had to, using his arm and his legs. However, we know we can't get to where we ultimately want to get to if we don't have our absolute best from Quinn Ewers, and it has to be him. It's Arch isn't developed to that point to where you can ask him to shoulder that, unless there's some sort of injury or anything. Then it has to be Arch. But this is Quinn has been building up and been built up by Steve Sarkisian for the last 3 years to deliver and to do this. And look, we don't have, if we had a CJ Baxter or a Bijan or a Jonathan Brooks like we had last year, where we could really, really, really lean on the run game like that, sure. Sure, right? Like, we don't have that. Not going to get me again. Not going to get me again. Not 2 weeks in a row. All the traveling and whatnot just destroy my allergies. But we don't have a Bijan or anyone like that to lean on. It has to be Quinn Ewers. It has to be not him carrying this football team, but him performing well enough to where the offensive line built around him, the backs built around him, they can carry the ball forward. What he cannot be is the guy that holds the offense back. What Quinn cannot be is the guy making poor decisions. Can't have that from Quinn. He's got to be the guy that, at least when I think back, guys that have won championships, A.J. McCarron, shit. I mean, he wasn't the greatest college QB, but the last year at Bama, he handled a load, right? He handled pretty big load, was able to get the ball to his playmakers and delivered in big games, and was big on the most serious drives of the game. I need Quinn to at least be in that ilk. And I know that's a reference from way back, but when you think should have listened to my wife and got that tea. That's on me. I'm over here making bad decisions. Voice has been good all day until right now. But anyway, getting back to the point. When I look at Quinn Ewers, he has to be the guy to keep us on track and not be as long as he's not the reason, he's not holding us back. The run game is good enough. The pass blocking is really good. The weapons are there. We can't just live at the line of scrimmage on screen passes. That's what we can't do, because you can't move and you're immobile and drives are stalling. Because if that's the case, you're not going to get out of College Station. You won't get out of College Station if you're Quinn Ewers and this Texas offense and you stall to that point to where you can't make plays, be a playmaker at times. I'm not saying every play, but 2 to 3, 4 times a game where you have to go off script and manufacture something, or those plays where Sark's got stuff dialed up. The last 2 weeks, Steve Sarkisian has dialed up literal coverage bust touchdowns. Can't miss them, right? A lot of them are going to Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden, who now has 8 touchdowns receiving on the season in that A.D. Mitchell role. Those are the bunnies. Those are the ones that every quarterback should hit. But if you're Quinn Ewers, you're looking to be an NFL prospect. You're looking to show people why you're one of the most gifted passers in America, why you're one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You got to hit some of those contested balls. You got to hit some of those throws downfield, those big boy throws downfield that maybe are a little bit more contested or a little bit higher level of difficulty. And we've seen you do it. I'm never going to ask somebody to do something I've never seen them do, or I know they're not capable of. We're having these conversations about Quinn and these frustrating conversations about Quinn because we know what he's capable of. Because we saw that guy go to Tuscaloosa and throw that beautiful moon ball and just dial it up. We saw that guy go to Ann Arbor, Michigan against that defensive line. Again, Kenneth Grant, Josiah Stewart, Mason Graham, Rayshon Benny. All 4 of those guys are going to play on Sundays. And we watched him not only deliver strikes downfield, but maneuver around the pocket, show some mobility. Quinn's not the greatest athlete in the world. I don't think he's a very good athlete at all. But I know he knows how to move around the pocket and have better footwork than what he's shown, which also protects him against injury. We shouldn't have to be calling for Arch. You're a year 3 Steve Sarkisian quarterback. Playing okay is not good enough. Playing okay for you is not good enough. Again, we don't have a Cedric Baxter. We've got good enough runners for you to win with, but you're going to have to carry the load a little bit more. Allergies are kicking my butt. But you have to carry the load a little bit more. That's the reality of the situation if you're Quinn Ewers. That's the reality of the situation if you're Texas. I think Sark has to be aware of that as well. And in terms of his play calling, how to get Quinn off to the best starts possible, Sark has to carry some responsibility here as well. Some of the situations that we're being put in, a little too finesse. I think Quinn Ewers is a better quarterback off of play action when we're able to establish something going downhill. And I'm not saying it has to be the most potent running attack going downhill, but again, if it's good enough and he's able to get back on his play action stuff and start hitting guys like Gunnar Helm, you start hitting Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden on your deep crossers, you're able to look back and, oh, boom, we can get the ball quick to Silas Bolden and let him operate in space. Now we're moving. That's what we saw in the fourth quarter. But for some reason, we've gotten this obsession with being side to side as an offense at times. So Texas has to rein that in. Now, this test coming up against Kentucky and the Kentucky defensive line, Deion Walker and some of those guys up front. Now, we know Kentucky has lost all of their SEC games since they upset Ole Miss, which was, a month and a half ago. They've lost 5 straight SEC games. So this is a tough spot for Kentucky coming in, trying to regain any type of momentum they have left. But defensively, they still have some guys on that defensive line who will be in the league. And the way I describe Kentucky is simply as this: they want to fight. They want to fight. It's going to be a physical game, and I think this is a great opponent to face before going up against Texas A&M in College Station. There are some similarities there. Texas A&M, outstanding defensive line. And yes, I'm talking about Texas A&M and getting ready for them because they were talking about us. If you didn't see Mike Elko talking about, oh, all of our focus is on Auburn, and then he comes out and says Texas. It's freaking hilarious. But Texas, 20 and a half point favorites at home over Kentucky, 2:30 kickoff Central Time. They got to come with it and match that physicality. I like the fact that we're playing a phone booth football team that likes to fight and that's physical. And it's physical also in their secondary. I like the way that they get hands on man and try to guard. They will try to fight. But they are very challenged offensively. Brock Vandergriff, 9 touchdown to seven interception, touchdown interception ratio. They're not the best running team. They got receivers. I mean, I like Dane Key, I like Marion Brown, but they just haven't been able to click. I'm not sure what's going on there with Coach Stoops' group, but this hasn't been the most impressive Kentucky attack, and it's really been since the first year of Will Levis that they were really humming offensively. The second year with Will Levis was a struggle. They had the transfer come in last year from NC State. That was another struggle. This year, Brock Vandergriff comes in from Georgia, struggle. Texas defense is not who you want to play when you're struggling. So another advantageous matchup for the Texas defense to show out and just continue that momentum of dominance. Now, I know some brothers have said, hey, Texas, I still have questions about Texas in the run game, some of those things. Well, those will be answered in due time when the right competition comes. But the way Texas has defended the run this season, if we bring up the actual stats, I'll actually share some data here. I mean, this is as good as you can possibly ask for, in my opinion, considering what the expectations were for Texas defensively coming into the season. So if I bring up, let me move this over here, because I really want you guys to get a sense of there we go. So right now, look, Texas defense, right? Yards per play, first in the country. Yards per game, first in the country. Points per game, 11.9, fourth. That third down conversion rate, number 11. But when you look at the rushing stats, brothers say we're not dominant. I know we're not top 3 anymore, but the drop off has not been that crazy. Rush yards per game, 112, 19th in the country. I'll take it. I'll take that all day long because when we get to the Texas pass defense, you're going to say, wow. 19, yards per rush, 3.3. Has Texas allowed some momentum runs and stuff? Yes, but we haven't really allowed, outside of the UTSA game, and then one big run that maybe Trevor Etienne had. We haven't allowed these big 20-plus explosives. That just has not been the case. But we're also a team where teams are running the ball a lot because they're afraid to put the ball in the air against our pass defense. Look at Texas's defense. These are remarkable statistics. 4.8 yards per pass, number 1 in the country. 4.8 yards per pass. That's off of an average of about 29 throws per game. Opposing passing yards only 136.7 yards per game. And their sack percentage, they're up there now, 24? I'll take it. Interceptions. They're one of the best turnover teams in the country. Number 7 in takeaways per game. Right? Op, opposition interception throwing percentage 5.23, fourth in the country. This is elite. This is as elite gets. So Brock Vandegrift, good luck. Dane Key, good luck. Barron Brown, good luck. That's why people are trying to keep the ball on the ground against us, and that's why people are running the ball, even though we're beating people. What average margin? We're averaging 37 points per game. We're beating people by over 3 touchdowns every single game. Yet they're still choosing to run the football as a survival tactic. So let that data talk to you. Now we've had some slippage offensively. Okay, we were at one point trending at 45 points per game. 37 points per game is down. That's kind of in the range where we were last year in the Big 12. The yards, I'm not mad at. I mean, the yards are still, you know, top 10, top 11 in that area. Obviously, our run game with the injuries and guys like Jonathan Brooks going to the NFL, that's gonna take a hit. But we're not terrible. Again, this running offense, like I said before, it's good enough for Quinn to win with, but he can't just be a bus driver on this. He's going to have to take on a little bit more and pick that up. But overall, net statistically, we still look good. And I'll actually show the actual player stats too for those who are interested as we start rounding into the end of the season, because I know some of you guys are well, hey, what does this look like? Who's leading the country or leading the team and what and blah blah blah. Well, let's look at it. So Travion Wisner, leading rusher at 468. Jaden Blues at 459, 5 touchdowns. And then Jarek's right behind them at 4 touchdowns. So again, those 3 guys have been holding it down collectively. Sark probably for the first time will not have a 1,000-yard rusher, but overall, the group still picking up 1,600 yards so far, 18 touchdowns. They have not been bad. 161 per game is fine. Just have to have a little bit better ball security, but they've been efficient getting 30 yards. They have not been a problem on goal line, in my opinion, when they've been asked to run the ball down there. And I think overall this group is a younger group that's improving and gaining experience and gaining valuable reps. So as up and down and frustrating as the backs have been, this was never going to be the group you were going to ask to carry you the way that we've asked our backs to carry us in years past. That just was not ever going to be a realistic ask. But if you look at our passing output, and again, as frustrating as Quinn has been, we're grading him on a different scale as a third-year player in a Steve Sarkisian offense with a bevy of weapons. So statistical output is still really, really solid considering he's only played in 8 football games, 21-6 touchdown interception ratio, which is kind of very, very close to what he had last year. The completion percentage is good. And then when you add in Arch's stats collectively, knowing what Arch did as a starter, that's great output for a start quarterback there. 30 TDs to 8 picks and in the, almost 70% completion percentage and almost 3,000 yards on the year. And then look at their opponents, 3 TDs to 15 picks. So, while, yes, we haven't been playing gangbusters every week and you want to talk about opponents and whatnot, we're dominating everybody. The people that do come on the field against us, we are absolutely dominating them. And by the way, the narrative on the Georgia game, yeah, we lost the Georgia game. Yeah, we were down 23-0 at one point. We were also down 8 points, 1-score game in the fourth quarter. And they threw for 175 yards and had 3 interceptions in that game. So let's not act like they went all over the place on us. That was an offense. That was a game where their defense and their special teams stood all the way on business against our guys and punked us in the first half, and we got down the hole. So context does matter. If we want to talk eye test for the Danny Cannells out there and Joey Galloways and people that want to spread nonsense because they have narratives to push, even though a bulk of the teams up top are Big Ten teams playing light-ass schedules as well, but we don't hold those teams to the same standards. Again, that's neither here nor there. Gunnar Helms, our leading receiver this year. I made a video at the beginning. I think I'm going to bump that for my own propaganda in terms of saying he was going to be one of the most important players on our team this year. He's been phenomenal at tight end, and the stats show that. Isaiah Bond, when healthy, is delivered 5 touchdowns, considering how in and out of the lineup he's been. Matthew Golden with 8 TDs, and then Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore, the young boys falling behind, and then our running back production. So this shows you, how much 20 personnel Texas runs, 21 personnel, 2 back sets, 2 tight end sets. Just the distribution of the ball isn't just receivers. I mean, Texas is really never going to have more than 3 receivers on the field at any given time if they're in 11 personnel. So fantastic job, just overall. We could touch on defense real quick here. Anthony Hill putting together an all SEC season, leading tackler, tackle for losses through the roof. If you go down and look at Colin Simmons and his tackle for loss there at 9.5 and 6 sacks as a true freshman. Wow. Wow. My boy Jahdae, sack, 4 interceptions like I talked about, forced fumble, quarterback hurry, 2 tackles for loss, and up there is one of our leading tacklers playing from the cornerback position. So this group, Michael Taft being the other leader back there, we know what he's been doing all year. And then Alfred Collins, who is making himself lots and lots of money, being our latest breakout star at defensive tackle at the University of Texas. So Kentucky got their hands full. Is the long-winded way of saying that. But I'm excited to see us again match up with that physicality and try to really send a message. We didn't cover last week. Is SEC road win, you take it, is what I've been told. And while I never felt like nervous or in jeopardy about the Arkansas game, it was frustrating to let us see let a team like that hang around. As competitive as they've been in Fayetteville. But we, at home, last home game in the season, DKR, what's at stake? The guys we got, I want to see us come with it. I want to see us come with it, y'all, this week and cover that 20.5 and continue the stock up of Alfred Collins, of Jahdae Barron, of Michael Taft, Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons, keep the party going on defense. And then Quinn Ewers showing you're more than average, right? As long as we get that and we get the Quinn that we've seen go into some of these places and play at a high level, if we can get that consistently, consistency is king for him, then Texas should feel really, really good, not just about going to College Station the following week, but about their chances in the playoffs. But if we get the quarterback play we've gotten in the Arkansas game, or even worse, what we got against Georgia or OU, then Texas is going to get beat, probably in the quarterfinals, semifinals. That's the reality situation. So ramping, right? These 2 more opportunities for true postseason play. I feel good about where Texas is at. Y'all let me know in the comments what you think, what you feel. Just really happy with the development of this team, the depth that this team has showed. Apologies for my voice. I'll be prepared for SEC Connect tonight. Don't worry about that. And I will follow my wife's advice moving forward and drinking that hot tea before I get on, making sure we are just right. Like, share, subscribe, the whole bit. Fanatic Perspective. You can find us on all social media platforms. Talking ball, talking Texas, Cowboys a whole bit. But really appreciate the time here. And let's go out there and beat the hell out of Kentucky. Guys, remember, horns always up. Hook 'em.